welcome to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. It is Monday, August 17th. I can't believe we're almost towards the end of the month already. The summer went so fast. It's flying by. So let me talk about my weekend really quick so I could get to my guests, because you know my show goes really, really fast. Friday evening, just chilled at home. Really didn't do much. Saturday morning, I got up and I went to Rescuing Families in Franklin Square. They had their huge yard sale fundraiser. And for those of you who didn't make it there this weekend, please get there this weekend, the 22nd, 23rd. Gina and Vinny raise money. It's a nonprofit helping families in need with disabilities. It's a great cause, and they have a ton of beautiful stuff. So please make sure you get there this weekend. The flyer's on the screen, 1010 Lewiston Street in Franklin Square. And then Saturday night, I actually had a show at Coasters. We celebrated Eli's birthday, and I was asked to sing. So I sang, and it was a lovely evening by all. And then Sunday, it rained here all day and all night. So basically just did stuff around the house like laundry. But I do want to say that if you are all free on Thursday, I'm thinking Saturday, the weekend, Thursday, September 10th, I'm actually doing a show at Governor's Comedy Club on the patio. So please make your reservations for that. That's my weekend. Let's get to my guest. I am so excited to introduce to you a four-time Emmy award-winning TV talk show host, producer, as well as a best-selling author. Please, everyone, welcome Mr. Bill Boggs. Hi, Bill.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Teresa, I'm just fine, thank you. I have a question. The show that you're going to be doing out there, on the patio, what kind of a show is that?
It's a comedy.
I love patios. Anytime there's a show on the patio, it's even extra special for me.
It's Governor's is a well-known Long Island comedy club here on Long Island. And what they did is Governor's Comedy Club, and what they did was they set up a outdoor venue during COVID. It holds about 70 people, all 6 feet apart. We're on a stage with a plastic thing in front of us. Everyone's, doing the social distancing thing. So I'm excited. It's my birthday week, my birthday month. So I'm excited to be back on stage doing comedy. Yeah.
That'll be great. Excellent. Have you created much new material?
Oh yeah, I have some new COVID material that I'm gonna be talking about. But listen, enough of me, because this hour, this 55 minutes is all about you. Right now you're in Florida. I was telling Lady Jane that my parents just came back from West Palm, and they're social distancing, and they have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I can't wait to go see them. But you're originally from Philly.
How did your parents get back from West Palm Beach? Did they fly? Did they drive? Did they take?
Yeah, they actually flew. They flew, Bill, and I can't wait to see them. And
Good.
I'm glad they're here.
Yeah. Anyway, I grew up in Philadelphia.
You grew up in Philly. You went to Lincoln High School.
That's right, Abraham Lincoln High School.
You got some
4,500 students. 100-acre campus, largest public high school campus east of Chicago. A tremendous school. I mean, it was the school had academic, college-bound. It had mostly boys, who wanted to study automotives. It was a complete repair shop. It really was an excellent high school. Sent me on my way. Lincoln High School.
And there was something that your principal told you. He told you, if you have an idea, write it down. Exactly. And I'm going to show you, this is my book that I carry with me everywhere I go. So when I have an idea, which doesn't stay in my head very long,
I
write it down.
Here is mine. This is it's a moleskin book. They come in 2 different kinds. One's thinner than the other. Right now I'm using the thinner ones. I always decorate them with stamps. So I've got John Lennon, and I've got the moon landing, and then a golden spike because of the book stamp. I have a golden, but they're all different. The most recent, the most recent thing that I wrote in here was a concept of a talking dildo, part robot, part pleasure tool.
That's great.
how could I hold that thought in my mind? I'd have to write it down, or I'd have a dildo talking to me. I didn't write it down.
So let me ask you a question. Is it true that at 5 years old, you were walking around with a pencil and pretending it was a microphone?
Yes, that is evidence of early lack of intelligence, not knowing. Oh, well, pretending it was a microphone. Yeah, I don't remember it. My mother told me about it so many times that I think I remember it, but I'd walk around, this is tissue, but I'm simulating here what it was like for 5-year-old Bill. It looks like my picture is going fuzzy here.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Okay. All right.
You're good.
Yeah, and then pretending to interview people because I was fascinated by the personalities at that point in my real distant youth, age 4, on the radio. Arthur Godfrey, Don McNeil, Art Linkletter, and I wanted to be like the men on the radio. So that's what I was doing when I was a little kid. Really, not a little kid, just a boy, a child.
Yeah, and you also went to the University of PA, and but a lot of people don't know this about you, that you actually started in comedy.
Yeah, that's true. What happened? I somehow, you're right. I went to the University of Pennsylvania. I actually went to graduate school. Are you sure my picture is okay? Because
you look great.
It's blurry.
You look great.
I'm just fishing for a compliment. And then I went to graduate school at Penn, got a master's in communications, took a job that afforded me to get an apartment. I didn't have to live with my parents. I was able to get a car, So suddenly I had like a lease and car payments and stuff. And I hated the job. And I had 2 coworkers the company was Armstrong World Products in Lancaster, PA.
Right.
Fortune 500 company. The movie Executive Suite, which was on Turner Classic Movies last week, was patterned after Armstrong. Anyway, 2 of my coworkers, Tom Patchett and Jay Tarsus, out of frustration with their equally boring jobs, were writing comedy routines.
Right.
And one day, I was unaware of this. I saw them doing one in the hallway. It's a well-told story, but I asked them what it was, and I had been in a comedy team with my best friend from 3rd grade, John Halsum, may he rest in peace. And we had a whole act that we did. We actually auditioned for Ted Mack's Amateur Hour. We didn't get it because, I guess, 11-year-old comedy act. But anyway, 11-year-old boys in a comedy act. I thought the material was great. It was at a time when, in the history of comedy, comedy teams were very popular. You would have Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Martin and Lewis had broken up a few years before, but then there was Stiller and Meara, Ben Stiller's mother and father were a comedy team.
Yeah. Martin and Lewis.
Well, Martin and Lewis had broken up, but nevertheless, all the movies were still impressed on you. And Rowan and Martin had Laughing, and Mike Nichols and Elaine May, and many others. One comedy troupe called the Ace Trucking Company that Fred Willard was in, and they were like that. And I asked them to do another routine, and in the middle of the routine, I had blinding revelation. The French would say a coup de foudre, a bolt of lightning.
Right.
We'd quit our jobs, go into show business, and I would be their agent.
Wow.
And 6 months later, they made their national television debut on the Merv Griffin Show, which would be like making your debut on the Ellen DeGeneres Show today, except happier work environment. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Well, your very first show was in Philly, and it was McLean and Company.
McLean and Company was the second show I worked on. The first show was a talent. First, I worked while managing the comedy team. Right. Yeah. I always had another job.
Right.
So it wasn't like a full-time job. And the comedy team did very well. They were on all of the major, except for the Tonight Show. They were on all the major shows. They were on the Steve Allen Show, the Joey Bishop Show, the Flip Wilson Show, David Frost several times, Merv Griffin. And they went on once we broke up to write for Bob Newhart. They stopped write for Bob Newhart, Mary Tyler Moore, and stuff like that. So
and then from there, that was in Philly. Yeah, that was in Philly. And then from there, you went to North Carolina and you did a show called Southern Exposure.
That's right.
And that was your very first talk show, so to speak, right?
Yes, there's no sense going into the nuances of my career, but I left
Yeah,
Philadelphia where I was only on once a week, made a New Year's resolution. I'd go anywhere in America to get my own show,
right.
and auditioned. And I went to North Carolina. And I created a morning show called Southern Exposure with Bill Boggs that ended up being syndicated in the South and beating the Today Show for 3 straight years. So it was a very successful
Wow.
local show. In the book, which we're going to talk about, which echoes my career,
Yeah.
the host, the man who owns the dog, Spike the Underdog, has a show called Southern Exposure.
Well, I have to say, your very first guest was a heartthrob of mine, and that was David Cassidy.
Yes, David Cassidy was the first guest on the show in North Carolina. And
Yeah.
we had wonderful, I mean, amazing amount of people came through North Carolina performing and the golf tournaments and stuff. And I was able to get authors who were going from Washington down to Atlanta to stop in our market because we had a pretty big market. And that's where I really learned to be a talk show host, to interview people, and how to produce a television show.
Well, you
And
actually
the 3 year
produced
period of my life.
you actually produced the
Morton Downey Jr.
Morton Downey Jr. show.
Yeah, that was several years later. But yes, I was executive producer of the Morton Downey Jr. show.
Wow. So you really were in front of the scenes and you also behind the scenes. Which one did you prefer?
I think performing, but then when I after 17 years of literally 2 week vacation, every day being on at one point when I was on Channel 5 doing Midday Live and the syndicated show Comedy Tonight, I was on camera 63 straight days. I mean,
Wow.
makeup was like in my pores, and I got sick of it. And then I did the Morton Downey Jr. show, and it was really great not to be doing the same thing I had done for 17 straight years.
Yeah.
And then I got back on a couple years later at WNBC, Weekend Today in New York, and then on the Food Network. But I would say I liked the best thing I really liked was producing myself, like in North Carolina, where I was in total charge of what I was doing, and then I go out in front of the camera and do it.
Yeah. Well, you actually produced and performed in your own one-man show. Though it was first called Talk Show Confidential, and then it was changed to Confessions of a Talk Show Host. And you actually did it on a cruise ship for the first time. And then you had this 6-year, once-a-month stint at the Triad. How did that come to be?
Well, I was working on the Food Network. Had a show there called Bill Boggs' Corner Table, which was an interview show where I sat. It was really basically, Teresa, I have not been investigated by the government about this. I'm surprised. It was pretty much a scam. I mean, talk about drain the swamp. I was able to get the premise of the show was sitting down with celebrities in their favorite restaurants and interviewing them. So
Yes.
I was actually able to get the Food Network to pay me very good money to go to the greatest restaurants in America, sit down, eat for free with big name celebrities, and get paid very well for it. That's what I mean. It's a scam.
That's a great gig. That's a great gig.
Most of these shows, and some of the people included Sophia Loren, Fergie, let's see, Maury Povich, Penn and Teller. They're just a few of the men. David Cassidy did about 50 of those shows, and they're on my YouTube channel, Bill Boggs TV.
Yes.
Where I've got about 500 clips and various shows that I've done that are on Bill Boggs. It's free. I recommend
everyone. I recommend everyone go to Bill Boggs TV on YouTube because it's fun to watch. It's entertaining. It's interesting. Everyone eats, right? Everyone's got a manja, right? So you sit down to a nice meal and have just a very casual conversation. And I enjoyed it, and it's great to watch. It really is. It's great entertainment. That's what it is. But you also just to you did this one man show, and this is not an easy task to do.
I'll answer the question. So I was on the Food Network,
right?
And Jacques Pepin, the beautifully handsome French chef, had a deal with the elite cruise line. Crystal Cruise is one of the most expensive elite cruise lines. This is not a cruise line with 4,000 people. You're talking about maybe at the most 1,000 people on a ship that could hold 3,000.
Wow.
Anyway, so he said to me, Bill, they would love you on Crystal Cruises. You're such a good speaker. You should go. And he set up this meeting. So I went to the meeting, and literally, it was in LA. Driving to the meeting, I feel like I know I have to have a talk. I've got some funny, true stories that have happened. So I'll make a talk of my stories, and I'll throw in some clips. And so I said to the guy, yeah, I've got this talk, and I get in there and I pitch it like it's all arranged. Oh yeah, it's called a Confessions of a Talk Show Host. It's all stories, and I got clips from all these people. So they put me on a cruise with my son Trevor. I could have taken they didn't make me take Trevor. I chose to take him. He was still a little boy. Actually, it was like, I don't know how old. It wasn't very old, like 14. And but before the ship got out of the harbor, I said, I was on as a so-called celebrity guest. I want to do this the rest of my life. The talk went over so well, they invited me back. But when I came back from the cruise, I thought, I have it in me to do an off-Broadway show. Mm-hmm. The talk went over so well. It was a comedy show, a biographical show about life as a talk show host. And in a way, the book has a lot of elements of that in it too. The book, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog.
Yes.
And so that's how it came to be. It started on a cruise ship, and then I had an offer from the John Houseman Theater to workshop it. And once again, I said, sure, I've got the show. And I only had like 40-minute shows. I added another 40 minutes, working hard on it, and got a director, Jeffrey Moss, and put the show on and liked it. And I loved doing it. It was just every day that I did the show was like, I know tonight I'm going to play. I'm just going to play.
Right. Isn't that fun? There's nothing like a live audience. There's just nothing like it. So listen, Bill, we're going to take a really quick break to hear from my sponsors. Don't go away. Anyone, when we come back, we're going to talk about Bill's new book and how you can get it and so much more. Stay right there. We'll be right back with Bill Boggs. Thank you. So where do you want to go tonight?
Are you bored?
Oh my God.
Hold on tight. We're gonna coast us.
Well, hi there, Teresa. It's John York from General Hospital. I am just checking in because apparently you have a great talk show called Tea Time on Strong Island TV. I want you to have continued great success and have a lot of fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and that's pretty much the key to everything, isn't it? So continued success. I'm proud of you. Have a great day, Teresa. Bye.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so excited that you joined me. Some shout outs. Hello everyone who's watching. Please do me a favor, like the show and share it. That way everyone could see it. A big thank you to John York from General Hospital and his lovely accolades towards me and my show. I appreciate it, John York. I love you so much. But getting back with Bill Boggs, I have Bill Boggs here and I'm so excited. But Bill, you have such an amazing career. You've done so much between, producing and doing a one-man show is not an easy task. But you also have written books, and the one book that you did do before this one, I know, is back, I think in 2008, was called "Got What It Takes: Successful People Reveal How They Make It to the Top, So You Can Too." And you interviewed a ton of people, from Trump to entertainers to everybody who's done such great work in their lifetime and had such success. And what I want to know is, what did you find was the common denominator amongst everybody?
Everybody. So many people have asked me that question over the years. That I should have one pat answer, but I think it was the answer that I've concocted. Actually, I made it into the end of my Broadway show. Is that they had the successful people had. The one trait they have is a faith in themselves and their God-given talent, right? Whether times for them were good or bad, that they would prevail, right?
Yes.
And I think that's it. I think self-belief is a hugely important component of success. You have a lot of doubts, you can be successful, but I don't think you'll be wildly successful. If you're afraid to take risks, you're too afraid of failing, I think you could be successful, but not wildly successful.
Yeah.
But anyway, I could go on about this because I wrote a whole book
You also
about
have a great quote. If I could quote you, you say, "Have an attitude of gratitude and find reasons to be grateful, because grateful people are happier and more successful in their lives." And I believe that. Definitely believe that.
Yeah, no. Well, I can't add anything to it. I wrote it. I believe it.
You
I'll take
said it.
responsibility. I feel more grateful.
I have another question for you, though, before we get into the Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. My biggest question is there one person that you always wanted to interview and you never did?
Well, I always wanted to interview Bill Clinton. I met Bill Clinton for like 15 seconds at the Cafe Carlyle about a month after Hillary lost the election. He, Hillary, and the family, Chelsea and her husband, were all there for a show. And I was going in back to my seat, and Clinton was coming out, so I introduced myself to him. He locks in on you right away. But I always wanted to interview Clinton because he was in like 5th grade. His teachers were saying, "You're going to be president of the United States someday."
Wow.
I would like to talk to him, if you really get him not to bullshit you. What were you demonstrating when you were 10 years old, when you were 11 years old, when you were 12 years old, that made everybody around you think you're going to be president one day? Right. I'd like to explore that. It's not necessarily a 1-hour topic.
Oh, yeah.
Then I would get into some other things, but he's the one person I wish I still could. It's not impossible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought you were going to say Marilyn Monroe.
No, not Marilyn Monroe.
But that's good. Yeah, you definitely did.
I want to have dinner with Marilyn Monroe. With somebody said to me, if you could put together a dinner party of 3 people, and who would they be? Yeah. And I don't want 3. I just want 1.
You just want 1.
I want to go to dinner with Marilyn. Oh wait, I'll make her dinner in my apartment. Oh wait, Jane's here. Oh, Jane will go with us. Oh my. In that case, Frank and Sammy can come too.
You're a big Rat Pack lover. You've interviewed Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra and
Peter Lawford and Shirley MacLaine and Joey Bishop. I never interviewed Dean Martin. Never met Dean Martin. Saw him perform. Never met him. Know his daughter, Dina Martin.
Yeah.
Lovely woman. Every once in a while, I segue into Alec Baldwin's impersonation of Trump. Love her. Love Dina Martin. Great woman. Love her.
All right, so listen, we're going to talk about your new book. Your new book is called The Adventures of Spike and the Wonder Dog. There you go. There's Spike. There he is. And you wrote this book. You actually had a dog named Spike, right?
I can't believe I actually had this idea. I had this idea.
You had this idea, and
I did it. I did it. This is a satire
Yes.
set in the world of television about a dog who becomes a big big TV star. His host is a master on me, like me. It's based on a lot of my life, but you don't have to know anything about me.
Yeah.
And it's satire on human foibles and a lot of phoniness in the business and behavior and what it's like behind the scenes at a talk show. And it's not, look, that must be meaningful to you. Can you read that?
That's great. Politically incorrect humor. I love it.
That's quite correct.
That's great.
That's what everybody tells me. We've got 5-star reviews only on Amazon.
Yeah.
You can get the book, orderspike.com. Takes you right to Amazon, Kindle, book, and this week it's coming out in the audio version.
And I have to say that you lovely rave reviews, including Pet Lifestyles magazine.
One of the big magazines of our time, Pet Lifestyles magazine, second only, really, to the circulation of Time, Newsweek, AARP magazine, the Pet Lifestyles magazine. It goes around the world. Almost 15,000 people get it.
It's amazing. And the it's narrated by Spike. It's narrated by Spike the dog.
The dog is an observational comedian.
Right.
Like Jerry Seinfeld.
Like Seinfeld, yeah.
Like Chris Rock, right. And he is telling you the story of what happened. And it's a story about a dog. It's about success, the price of fame.
It's also a love story between man and dog, right?
What's that?
It's also a love story between man and dog.
Yeah, because between Spike, the master, and between Boggs, the talk host, and Spike. That's exactly right. And a portion of the proceeds, like for everybody watching now, if everybody would just order a book,
right?
No problem. Order my book. You'll love it. You order my book. A portion of the proceeds will go to help animal rescue.
That's great. That's great. It's a win-win. So it goes to a good cause. It makes you laugh. It's a great summer read. And I think everyone has to get it and order it. Winston Groom, who's the author of Forrest Gump, said that it's a fictionist. I can't read my handwriting. Fiction's funniest canine.
That's right, because it's a dog story. You know, there have been a lot of dogs in fiction. The Art of Racing in the Rain, A Dog's Purpose, The Call of the Wild. This dog, according to the critics, is the funniest dog who's ever had a book.
Yeah. And basically, he is into the nightlife and boxing and horses and street life and female dogs, as you know, technically we know as bitches, you know, so we could say that. And
you said it, not me.
I could say it. I could say it. You could say it. But it was.
I know that Bobby's going to bleep that. I mean,
it's a 3-year labor of love. This, you know, this is your baby, and you know, how do you feel that you're holding it and you're actually seeing the words that you've written? I mean, it must be like heaven.
I'm in heaven. You know, right now my heart is beating so that I can hardly speak. I'm in heaven. Really, I really had a great time doing this. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy getting a book deal. It wasn't easy doing all the promotion and everything like that. The book was released in the middle of May, the pandemic.
Yeah.
Not the best time to release a book, but we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah, and so everyone could get it at www.orderspike.com. They could get it on Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Yeah, wherever books are sold.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's gotten rave reviews and it's funny. But you had a dog named Spike. Unfortunately, he got hit by a car, and I'm sorry for that. And basically, the concept I think you came up with was what if he had lived, right, and gone on to this, you know, kind of like
come to New York with me,
right?
In today's world, and became a big star. Because the dog I had on the show in North Carolina, Southern Exposure, which is the same title as the book, was a huge star.
He stole the show.
Huge star, yeah. And I did all kinds of film stuff with him. He went all over. I could get the dog to do a lot of stuff. So he got killed. And the idea, I don't remember when I got the idea, and I didn't write it down in my little book. It just took on a life of its own. What if he hadn't gotten killed? And in today's world, he came to New York with me and became a big star.
Right.
And I just sat down to write it on this very computer that I'm on with you now.
Right.
The voice of a dog came through me, and boom, 4 years later, here we are.
Wow, it's amazing. And and I know that you also are going to start a sequel on it called Spike Unleashed, the Wonder
Yeah,
Dog
yep.
Returns, right?
Yeah, I'm working on the sequel right now.
And how's that going?
I'm off to a booming start.
That's
Right?
good. That's good.
Off to a booming start.
Great. I want to say hello to Beth Ann and Kristen Tinsley and Charles. Everybody, please like the show and share it. I'm with Bill Boggs, and this is a man who's won 4 Emmys and a talk show host and a producer and a writer, and you've interviewed so many people over the years in your career.
Thank you.
And I wanted to know if this book does become a movie, does turn into a film, who would you want to play Spike?
Well, you would need the voice of Spike.
Yeah.
I always forget this man's name. He's one of the biggest stars in the business. Jane, are you around?
Oh, there's so many.
No, but this. No,
So you have this voice in your head. I'm just curious.
no,
to know.
I can't remember the name of the man who I'd like to play Spike, and it's just he's one of those names that I don't remember, and he's a huge star.
It's not James Earl Jones, is it?
I'll come up with it. But anyway, he would be a very good voice for Spike.
And who would be Bud?
What?
Who would be Bud?
Oh, I actually a good voice for Spike would be Jim Carrey. There were 2. The name I couldn't remember, and Jim Carrey, and then Bud would be if it's a live movie. I don't know. I don't know who I'd pick. I haven't never thought about that, so I'm not going to just say
All
something.
right. No, I respect that, but I'm just inquiring minds want to know.
Oh, Jim Parsons. Jim Parsons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I could get Jim Parsons playing Bud, right, and the other voice, we'd be in great shape.
Yeah.
We'd be really in good shape.
That sounds great. Hello, Sherry Neer. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm with Bill Boggs. You also do something now called Tracked Live. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, you can see the shows I've done on my YouTube channel, Bill Boggs TV. When we have somebody whom we want to interview, Jeff Leibowitz, my producer, director, announcer, and I set it up. We're hoping for Jack Jones, the singer, and Alec Baldwin
Nice.
this month. But I stopped doing it on a weekly basis because I was busy working on other stuff, and now I'm writing the sequel. I'm busier than ever. But it's a long form interview show, just like you're doing, Trap Live.
Yeah.
And we've had Phil Proctor from Firesign Theater, Lucy Arnaz, Dina Martin, Bobby Slayton, the pit bull of comedy, Alan Zweibel, Tom Dreesen, the comedian, Tom Cotter, the comedian.
Yeah, Lisa Lampanelli.
Lisa Lampanelli, Judah Gold. There's some of the guests. So we're skewing it toward comedy.
Right.
And it's sponsored by my book. It's the only show in the history of television sponsored by the host's book.
Listen, Bill, stay right there. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back. Listen, don't go away, everybody. We'll be back with Bill Boggs. So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. Big shout out to Jen Lentini who's watching, everyone watching the show. I'm so glad you could join me tonight because I am with such a special guest. Bill Boggs is a 4-time Emmy-winning TV talk show host. He's a producer. He's a best-selling author, a professional speaker. He does it all. But Bill started out in comedy. And a lot of my comedy friends are watching, and I shared this to a lot of comedy groups. And you also hosted a game show for CBS. What show was that?
It was called All Star Anything Goes.
Oh, okay, I remember that.
All Star Anything Goes was I did that. I think the second year that I was doing Midday Live with Bill Boggs on Channel 5.
I have to tell you, I watched you on Channel 5 all the time. Just like you know.
You were a very little girl at the time. But anyway,
and I don't want Lady Jane to get upset with me, but you were a hottie back then, and you're still looking great.
It's the lighting, I assure you. No. Anyway, All Star Anything Goes was a show that involved teams in a physical competition. So it would be like 8 is enough, cast of 8 is enough, versus the cast of another sitcom. It was a really silly show,
but it was a lot of fun.
Syndicated, and I made more money doing that show, like 13 or 26 episodes, than I did my entire year of Midday.
Wow!
So, yeah.
Wow! Thank God for syndication. Thank God. And you also were a news anchor on WNBC, and you also hosted and produced Fox TV series Comedy Tonight.
We should talk about Comedy Tonight, since you have allegedly, I'll say allegedly, you have comedians watching the show.
Yeah. That was a bunch of comics that came on and did like 3.5 minutes, right?
Well, let me tell you about how the show evolved.
Yeah.
I formed a production company with Richard Baker, who had been my intern. Excuse me a second. My intern in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was associate producer, came up in New York, was associate producer of a little show called Live from Lincoln Center. Yeah. So we formed a production company, and we started out doing shows for MTV. We did a Lou Reed show for MTV. We did a Frank Zappa show for MTV, Ian Hunter show for MTV, Mink DeVille show. Then we did for Sony Home Video, Bobby Short at the Cafe Carlisle. This is all while doing Midday Live during the day.
Wow.
And then we wanted to get like big show on. And so we were doing research, and we found out that syndicators, this is totally different than now, but this is the mid-'80s. Syndicators were looking for programming that was cheap, late-night programming. And I read an article in the New York Times about this is, say, 84, the preponderance of comedy clubs all over America, right? Having started my career in comedy, managing a very successful comedy team, and at the time we were seeing Dangerfield on stage, Joan Rivers on stage, Lily Tomlin on stage. That was the 60s.
Yeah.
I thought, gee. Well, I don't think I had the G in there. I don't think I thought G. I thought, forget the G. Delete that. I thought if there are that many comedians, we could probably do a late night series with just comedians.
Right.
So Comedy Tonight was the first show in the history of television. It was on 121 stations, 2 seasons, that had only stand-up comedians. I was the host and co-executive producer. Mark McEwen, who would go on to be the weatherman on Good Morning America and have his own show, was the announcer. So we auditioned over the course of 2 years. We auditioned a lot of comedians, some of whom would not do the show, like, say, Jerry Seinfeld, because in New York, we were on opposite Letterman. We were on different times all around the country.
Right.
We had Whoopi Goldberg on 3 times. We had the old line stars like Dick Shawn on, Sinbad, Marsha Warfield, Bob Saget, Bill Maher. There would be some of the ones just off the top of my head. Then other comedians, Mark Schiff, others who maybe are no longer in the business, but we auditioned, like I said, around 1800. We had 450 comedians that we booked on that show. So Comedy Tonight was a return to my original roots. I've always been a writer, my original roots in comedy. And the book, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, is the third incarnation in my life of comedy. First, launching my career by launching a comedy team.
Right.
Second, Comedy Tonight. And third, the satire, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. And the reason I take time to do that is people who only like know me from one thing don't understand why you're suddenly doing something else, when in fact what I'm suddenly doing is return to what got me into show business in the first place.
You came back where you originally started. That's great. It really is. I mean, it's an amazing career, and you know, you've done it all. Is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do?
I always wanted to go to England and be like an American in London hosting a show over there. Like David Frost was an Englishman who came over here.
Yes.
I never even pursued that. But I think what I really like, if I could sell The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog to a production company that does streaming or does a cartoon or a big CGI movie and make a deal for the book, that would be the crowning achievement of my life. I mean, I really believe in what I've created here. And most people, when they create something, let's just talk comedy, okay?
Yeah.
You're working your material on stage and you're going to say, tape a special. So you work that material, you test it, you test it, you test it. But what if you're writing a book that is a satire, that is aimed at making people laugh and getting laughs out of people while they read? So what I did was, with the book, after the first draft was in my computer, I got 8 people I know who I said, I'm going to ask for a big favor, and I'll take you out to dinner, and I'll give you 2 months. I'm going to ask you to read my first draft of the book.
Right.
And tell me what you think. And I'm not looking for compliments. We'll have a nice dinner, make notes. So it took a 4-month period of testing. This was how I tested the book.
Okay.
Because I thought it was really funny, but you know, you're doing your material. Is it as funny as you think?
Yeah.
All 8 people.
Comedy is very subjective. Yeah.
First words out of their mouth. 8 different people, 8 different dinners. Bill, this is really funny. Laugh out loud funny.
Wow.
And then I knew I really had something. And I went back and punched it up and worked hard on it. So I consider this, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, the single best piece of work in my life, really.
Wow.
And yes, I'm writing a sequel because I have these ideas and I like the process of writing. I identify myself purely as I'm a person who had 15 different TV shows. Now I'm focusing on writing. If somebody comes along with an offer for me, I'm back on television. But I've been chasing work. I've been chasing work my entire life. I've been working since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
No, actually, 11.
11.
Never stopped working. I was selling things door to door at age 12.
Wow.
So I'm working now for the pure passion of writing. You know, I've had some jobs I couldn't stand, including in the business. I'm not really happy. You know,
you actually had a moment in time when you could have become a page at NBC, but you turned it down.
That's not true. I don't know how that follows me around in my my bio.
All right, so we're officially clearing it up.
My high school classmate Barry Jenner, who went on for a nice acting career. We were in the same class at Lincoln. He was a page. I was never a page.
Okay.
Every once in a while, somebody asks me about that.
Okay.
No,
that's good to know.
No, it was never a page. It was never a page.
That's good to know.
I didn't like the uniform. I mean, if they had had a better fitting jacket, I might have considered being a page. But that saggy jacket, no.
So listen, Spike, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog basically is, truth, all right, about, your life, your career that you incorporated into this story.
Elements of memoir throughout the book. anytime we're dealing with the television aspect of the book, because the guy is a talk show host like me, and the things that happen there are satirical blow-ups, stand-ups, as the English would say, of things that have actually happened on television.
Right.
To me, just like Confessions of a Talk Show Host was like that. So you end up using as a writer of fiction, you end up using your life. The stuff that comes in is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll read like a couple of days' work to Jane, and she'll realize, wow, 4 days ago somebody was talking about that, or we saw something on television. It just weaves on through. I like that. I think I should use my hands more. Weaves on through.
Now you look Italian. I want to know, Lady Jane, just real quick, has been with you for 10 years.
Jane.
And I had the pleasure of meeting her. I had the pleasure of meeting her.
Let me see if I can get her.
She's lovely. She's lovely.
I'm not dressed properly.
Oh, Jane, you're always dressed.
She's lovely. Hello, Lady Jane.
There she is, folks. There she is.
I want to tell you, I want to know how you and Bill met, and you're still together 10 years. Can you tell me how you guys met?
The creation story.
I can. How much time do we have?
Can you give me the clean version?
It's all clean. Basically, I picked him up. It was
I'm sorry. Sorry, Jane.
I was going to the theater in October. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had a 7:00 ticket, and I was alone. And I got to the theater about 6:30, and I felt like having a vodka tonic. It was on 55th Street.
I feel like having one now.
The roundabout, the Manhattan Theater Club.
Yeah.
Manhattan Theater Club. So anyway, across the street was Cherco, Osteria del Cherco, and I went over there to have a drink. Bill, stop it. And there was a table with two very handsome men, and at first I did not recognize Bill.
And we were at another table, my friend and I.
Bill. So basically, I saw two good-looking men, so I sat down very close to them. Why not?
Yes.
Ordered my drink, and they were having fun. They were just having a good time, and I was kind of envious. And at one point, the owner of the restaurant came over, and Bill stood up and embraced him and said, "I'd like you to meet my friend John." And then John said to the owner, "Have you heard Bill's available again?"
Oh.
I heard this, and I looked at my watch. It was 20 to 7. And I've never been shy, the truth be told. I just literally stood up, and I walked like 2 steps over to their table, and I leaned in between the two men. And I said, "Gentlemen, I did not mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help it over here. I looked at Bill, that you are available. So am I." Well,
I love a woman with chutzpah.
That's me. So Bill honestly was in shock, but John, his friend, jumped up. He's all 6'7" of him, pulled out a chair at the table. They had a 4-top. Pulled out a chair and said, "Sit down. You're fabulous." He ran over to my table to get my vodka tonic and my purse. And I sat with them for 20 minutes, just really having fun. And at the end of the 20 minutes, I said, "Men, curtains going up. I have to leave." They both stood up. They both said, "Can I have your number?"
Oh.
I said, "I'll give it to both of you. You
Take your pick.
You decide." And long story short, Bill's the one that called me, and we've been together ever since.
Well, I love it. I love a good love story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
It's a pleasure. That's my man. So there we are.
I love it. Love it. Thank you, Jane. Lady Jane, thank you so much.
Okay.
Oh, Bill, you lucky man. Or should I say you lucky dog?
Thank you.
Unintended.
Lucky dog. One of the things that's a wonderful story. There are 2 things I like to add. When my friend John stood up and said to Marco, because I was talking to Marco about his divorce, and then John said, he's available now too. When Jane left to go to the theater, John said, "I said that loud enough so she could hear us. This is the sort of woman you should be involved with." He had an intuitive feeling that the woman at that other table was perfect for me. Wow. So that is an element of, and then 3 weeks later, I called Jane. I did not call her right away. 3 weeks.
No. You made her wait.
3 weeks. 3 weeks went by. because
And you've been together ever since. It's a great, great love story. I love hearing that. I really do.
10 years ago. That's hard to
10
believe.
years. Yeah.
It's a land record. Land record. The two of us are involved for 10 years.
I mean, I've never been married, so
What?
it's my longest relationship. I'm eating licorice now. It's my longest relationship.
Huh?
I've only had a couple of marriages.
Oh, yeah.
A couple. I think more than a couple, Jane.
I know, but I'm
Well,
being kind. I'm
wait a
being
second.
kind.
Donald Rumsfeld describes a couple as just a couple. And go ahead.
But this is the longest relationship he's ever had, and he's been married a few times.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there we are.
Absolutely.
This one's a keeper. That's it.
So something's working.
That's it. Something is working. And, during this time, during quarantining and COVID, I say either there's going to be a lot of marriages, a lot of pregnancies, or a lot of divorces. And I can't get pregnant.
All three. No, that's the truth. There will be a spike in birth rate.
Yeah.
There will be a spike in divorces, and there will be a spike in people who have been thrust together. Did a lot of, well, the birth rate will also involve thrusting, but people have been thrust together and end up getting married and staying together forever.
Yeah.
Or for a week or two.
It's great. So now you're down there. You're down in Florida. Do you come back up here and spend some time in the Hamptons?
Well, my home actually is in East Hampton. Our home is in East Hampton.
Yeah.
We have an apartment here, but because of the pandemic, and we're right on the ocean, we feel safe here, and we chose not to travel to go back.
Yeah.
We'll be back, but normally, under normal circumstances, we'd be in East Hampton now, paying for overpriced wine by the glass at every restaurant.
Yeah, that's true. Listen, my parents, I told you, just came back from Florida. My mother loves it down there. They're in West Palm when they're down there. She loves shopping at Bell's, and she loves going to bingo, and but in the summer down there, all the Canadians go back, and there's not too much to do. So she's like, and it's very, very, very hot. So if she goes to the pool, she'll go for like an hour. But I know you are still very physically active. You swim, you run, you're in great shape. That's why Lady Jane's got to hold on to you. And you drive. Men in Florida who drive are very hot commodities down there.
If anything happens, the fact that I can still
She's
drive.
laughing. I hear her laughing because I know, because my dad.
Women here, they don't care about.
When my mom's not in Florida with my dad, they'll say to my dad, did something happen to your wife, Jean? Because he drives, and he's like a hot commodity down there too. Oh, Bill, listen, we only have 2 more minutes left, so I want to tell everyone in this 2 minutes, please go to www.orderspike.com. Please get the latest book by Bill Boggs, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog. And it is a satire based on the truth, and it is funny, laugh out loud funny. You have to get it. Also, check out Bill Boggs TV on YouTube. There are a ton of interviews on there that either you might have seen when you were younger or you never saw before. But you've
recent stuff, things that I did 2 weeks ago. Everything.
Oh yeah, and also yes, from Trapped Live. So go on YouTube. Check out Bill Boggs TV. Everything is there. Bill, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, this has been so special for me that you took the time out to join me on my show.
Well, you know what? You asked me to come. I've been looking forward to it all day. It's just a lot of fun to riff and to stay crazy and to read you some notes from my book, like the talking dildo note. Another one. Going to hell in a handbag.
Go to hell in a handbag. You just keep writing those thoughts down in your book, and I'll keep writing mine and my thoughts in my book, Bill.
How about a strip club with COVID-free co-eds? These are the things that pass through my mind. The book, by the way, The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog, R-rated.
Okay. Good to know. No, it's not.
R-rated book.
Okay. So listen, Bill Boggs, thank you so much. Lady Jane, thank you so much. Stay safe. Bill, stay there for one quick second. Everybody, I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Ciao.